Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Brother Gaming HD here today, and today's video is Dead Island the Definitive Edition worth playing, especially in 2025, or even worth revisiting? And that's what I want to talk about here today, as well sharing my experience with the game overall. And let's get into the meats and potatoes of this video, shall we? For somebody who's pretty much played Dead Island 2 and decided to play the very first Dead Island, especially the definitive edition, this many years later, I decided to sit down and give the very first Dead Island a chance. And I did play this game beforehand as well, but the thing is though, when I played it, I played the Rider DLC, and I think that's where I might have messed up when I first played the definitive edition of Dead Island, and it kind of turned me off away from the game. But after sitting down and going through a very generic, mediocre story, as well as many people dub this game as a fetch quest simulator, for what it was back in 2011 and it being re-released in 2016, the game may not be what it is compared to the live service model and the microtransaction era that we have here today with modern gaming, but for a game this old, it still has a charm, it still has an identity of what it is, of what it wanted, of what it wants to be. And we don't see that with and when we see that with live service games, we're asking, like, what does this game want to be? Does it want to be a battle royale? Does it want to be a family friendly rated M game? Like, what does the game want to be? And that's the problem with modern day gaming. When Techland and Deep Silver published this game back in 2011, they were making a game that was fun. They were making a game that was trying to be fun. And the charm is still here, even this many years later, in the year 2025. And for my first time ever playing this game, especially Dead Island 1, I was like, wow, I missed out on this game. I literally missed out playing this game for back then during like 2016, even back in 2011, because this game back then, it really wasn't on my radar. This game really wasn't something that I was wanting to pick up and play. But after playing it this many years later, I'm like, wow, is this what I missed out on? A game that's just pretty much bashing zombies and it's actually fun? And that's what modern day gaming is missing. They mostly prioritize profit over fun. And then I can understand at the end of the day, it is a business, you know. They are businesses at the end of the day trying to make a profit, impressing their shareholders and all that stuff and mumbo jumbo within the corporate world. But a game like Dead Island is something that deserves more recognition. Sure, some people will say that Dying Light is the superior game out of Techland, and I might go back and give that game a try because I kind of had the same issue when I first played it, especially with Dead Island. I played the game, I really didn't like it at the time, but I'm actually gonna go back, and I promise myself this. I'm actually gonna go back and play Dying Light and give the game a chance and see if I actually like it. That's the thing. Back then, I wasn't into this type of genre. I really wasn't into this melee combat type of mechanic. But I played Dead Island 2 before I even played this, and I'm like, okay, Dead Island 2, in my opinion, it did not feel like Dead Island at all. But then yet again, it's just the name, it's a placeholder, it takes place in LA. That's the name. But after going back and literally sitting down and playing this game for the very first time, this game feels more like Dead Island compared to Dead Island 2. And that's my take on that, to be honest. But the game, sure, it is older, it does show its age, but it's a fun experience, and that's what the devs were trying to do back then. They were just trying to make a game that was fun, that was memorable, and a game where you can play with friends or even people online and share that experience and share the passion for what this game was trying to do back in 2011 and eventually re-released back in 2016. But we really don't see that with modern day gaming. It's always prioritizing the microtransactions or trying to sell DLC or trying to profit off of the game already that's already been sold and continue to make profit even after the game has launched. Sure, I can understand if it's a free to play game, I can understand that. But when you got games that are $70 to $100, maybe $100 when GTA 6 drops, and I'm hoping the freaking prices do not go up to $100 a game, because at that point, I'd be waiting for games to go on sale. I'm sorry, but back topic at hand. Dead Island is a game, like I said, for many, this may have been their very first game on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, even the PlayStation 4, or even the Xbox One that launched alongside with the PlayStation 4, respectively. But this game does have its charm, the game does have its moments, and there are some times where the game may feel a little bit frustrating, especially when you play this game solo, which I have played this game solo, and I learned this crap the hard way. I literally did. But did that stop me from beating the game? Did that stop me from playing? No, it did not stop me from playing the game currently because of the fact that it's just a fun, open, semi-world sandbox experience that you really don't get with modern day gaming. Every game is either a very open world with a half-assed story or open world with a good narrative behind it, or an expansion being locked behind $30. I'm looking at you, Destiny 2. But that's the thing when it comes to these older games like Dead Island and others that came a little bit after it or during the same time frame. Some people always say that you can never beat the classics, and for many, Dead Island here is a classic for many people. And to me, for somebody who ended up playing the 2016 version, I even categorize this game as a classic, even though it was my very first time playing this game from beginning to end. And I had a blast. I literally had a blast playing Dead Island this many years later because of the fact that it wasn't trying to copy another popular game. It wasn't trying to be something that it's not, trying to figure out like what it wants to be. Does it want to be a battle royale? Does it want to be a store that sells microtransactions that don't even make sense? You're basically a unicorn running around the battlefield with a freaking bubblegum wrap on your gun. It's just interesting to see where modern day gaming has gone, and just going back and playing the very first Dead Island on my PlayStation 5 on a digital PS4 copy just makes me wonder, how many more games have I missed out on? How many good other titles have I literally missed out on because of the fact that either one, sure, I don't have enough time in the world to sit down and play every single game, but at the same time, it just makes you wonder. It's like, shit, there's a whole lot of good other games out there besides the game that you're currently playing. And that is something that I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on going and playing other games and playing them for the very first time, or going back and actually beating them. It's one of those two options. But with my experience with Dead Island, it's been a blast. It's been a fun time playing the original Dead Island this many years later. And even the locations were something unique during its time. Going from the beaches of Benoi, even exploring the city, and even going into the far depths of the jungle, and escaping from a prison, with each environment having its own unique feel in some shape or form. The islands of Benoi, sure the beaches of Benoi are the very first, is a starting area that you get to start on, but eventually you go into the city and it feels more cramped. It feels more claustrophobic, with more infected running around the map, and you have to traverse a little bit more carefully, or else you're going to get jumped by a horde in a matter of 0.56 seconds. And then going from the city to the sewers was another fun experience that I actually enjoyed. Instead of it being a little bit more open, it was more close quarters, and the melee combat does pretty much heavily complement this game, especially for it being one of many for a genre of its kind. And even the jungle felt a little bit open, but at the same time, it felt more like what if scenario if the zombies did run around that area, making the environments more dangerous. But the prison overall, it felt like it was more of a challenge, especially with a zombie type known as the Rams, made the whole entire prison area so claustrophobic. Even though they have a giant straitjacket, they can still kick you and knock you down, and that was not a fun time. I mostly made it my goal to either avoid them or try to maybe get rid of one or two every now and then, but my experience with Dead Island has been a blast. It's been fun. And I would love to go back and play this game after this video is over. And I might do that. I might go back and play this game again, just because of the fact that it's just a fun time. It's a fun experience. And you really don't get that many. And this game is a rough gem in the dirt, with many other games out there that don't get the recognitions they deserve. But it's been your boy Brotherhood Gaming HD, everybody, and if you are new to the channel, please subscribe, like, hit them bell notifications, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out, and goodbye, everybody.